Hi, YouTube. Thank you for tuning in to Nappy Kitchen. I'm going to wait for some Facebook viewers to jump on, and then we'll get right into it. Actually, let me invite some people on Facebook. Maybe they can join us. Maybe. We'll see. Just inviting a few people. I hope everybody has been doing well. It's been a while since I hopped onto YouTube, so hey, it's nice to see you guys. I still haven't gotten my music. I need to get music for while I'm waiting, because awkward silence. Awkward silence. Hi, thanks for jumping on. Braylon, shout out to Braylon, who has his own YouTube and broadcasting things that he is doing. The Juice Crew. Make sure you guys check that out. He and two other young ladies talking about topics that we need to talk about within the Black community and the community in general. Always a pleasure to have him on. Today's show is about abandonment, and I'm going to try not to cry. I got props so that as I'm talking, I can distract myself, because this is a very meaningful topic for me, because it's something that I have struggled with in the past, and something that I kind of continue to struggle with, but we'll get into that. I think as a woman, in general, no matter what race you are, support is important. But as a person, but a Black person, life is hard. It's hard to be Black. It's hard to be Black, and we need to do better by one another within our family units and within our friend circles, because there is trauma I've talked about before, generational trauma that is passed down to us, and also trauma that we're experiencing every day when we walk out of our doors, when we're going to school, when we're going into our workplace. There's so many things that we're facing. So it's important to have friends and family members, significant others, or relationships that you can really count on. And so I want to talk about abandonment today. I want to talk about my journey, share a little bit of my testimony, and maybe get a little bit of feedback. Maybe it can help me. Maybe I can help someone. We can help each other. Hopefully that'll be the beauty of it, because I feel like everybody probably has felt abandoned before. And by abandonment, I don't mean just physically abandoned. I don't mean somebody actually being present one moment and then leaving. That is a type of abandonment, but and that abandonment is hurtful. But also there are other forms of abandonment. You can have emotional abandonment, where somebody can be right next to you and you still not feel supported, not feel complimented, not complimented like you're pretty, you're so nice, you're so beautiful. Not that type of compliment. Compliment as in you don't feel like they're adding to you, making it to 100. I don't know. I feel like that's a problem, and we kind of need to. Let's kind of unpack that. Let's unpack that. So I deal with abandonment. I say I have an abandonment issue. You will hear me talk about that a lot. You will see me hashtag that a lot, and that's just me being transparent about my experience with my mother. I feel like that's what started my issue with abandonment, even though I have healed part of that. I have, if you haven't seen the episode where my mother is my special guest, please check it out. It's on my YouTube at Nappy Kitchen Live. Check that out. And we actually talk about how I feel about her leaving me. And also how she feels. It's a very beautiful episode. Like I said, if you haven't had a chance to see it, go check it out after this. But don't leave me right now, because that's what the show is about. It's about abandonment. So don't leave me right now. But I have healed parts of that. It took a while for me to get to a place where I accepted, okay, my mother chose to live in a house other than my house. My mother chooses to spend time with people that are other than me. Even seeing my mother with kids, she was very active in some of her grandchildren's lives, some of my cousins. She helped, babysit them. And that was hard for me to see. I'm just being honest. It was hard for me to witness someone who was supposed to be there for me, be there for other children. It was very, very hard. And so in the episode, I actually tell her one thing that I was very proud of. I feel like God laid this on my heart, and I want to share it with you. I do hope you intend to go watch the episode, but I would like to share this with you. I said this to my mother, that when I was healing, God sort of laid it on my heart that a lot of things happen that seem significant. And I thought that her leaving me, the abandonment of her, was the significant part. But if you know the story of Moses in the Bible, which is one of the, main characters, hey, we all know Moses, his mother put him in a basket and sent him down a stream. And that was sort of abandonment. But she needed to do that for him to get to his glory, for him to help other people get to their glory. And not in a grandiose way. I'm not comparing myself to a biblical character, but I am. I found healing through that story. If she had not have done that, would I be able to relate to foster children the way that I do? I have healed and helped a lot of people. Would I be able to talk to women the way that I do? No. Would I be the type of mother that I am to my children without that? No, not at all. Oh, you can see Beyonce. I was watching Homecoming. But seriously, I definitely found healing in that. And I offer that to my mother in the video. And I offer that to you now so that you know that throughout this episode, I'm not actively hurting over the same one thing or the same couple of things that have hurt me. It's just I've been on a cycle of abandonment with different people. And sometimes those things drag me back to the place that I was when I was that 8-year-old little girl. And I'm human, and Nappy Kitchen is a safe space for us all to vent and share. And I want to be transparent about that. Sometimes when things happen in my adult life, I have to correct that thought process, that childlike thought process, that unhealed thought process. I have to remind myself that I am healed. Healing is an active thing. Healing is not a finite thing. I feel like other people may differ. Other people's opinions may differ, but I don't think healing is something that you just do once and you're done with it and it's over. I feel like healing is something that is a continual thing that takes a lot of effort, a lot of choices, a lot of decision making, a lot of cognitive effort. So that's what I mean. So it started with my mom. And as a child, I struggled a lot. It sort of set up this need for me to compare myself to others. I had a lot of friends. I idolized my friends who had good relationships with their mothers. As I think back on my childhood friends, all of them had great relationships with their mothers. I definitely would spend time around them and their moms, and I would just sit and I would think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I would like that. I want that. But then it would always somehow lead to, why didn't I have that? Why is my home situation what it is? And it's hurtful to think about now, but again, I say I'm very thankful for those things, because when I'm talking to other people, I can help them, take steps towards their healing. And when I think about the relationships that I chose to stay in, both friendships and my heterosexual relationships with men, I, I put up with a lot of things because I felt like if I didn't jump through these hoops, these people were going to leave me. When you feel like people are going to leave you anyway, you end up doing things that leave you stuck in situations where you aren't really being fed. And so I also attach a lot of feelings to the relationship with my child's father. No disrespect to him, but when I grew into an 18-year-old young woman, I ended up in a relationship, and I had a child with someone who chose to be with another person, and that dragged me right back into the feelings that I had before as a young child with my mother. It literally depressed me. I think that was my first bout with actual depression. I was prescribed Zoloft. That's an old medicine. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. There are so many up-to-date mental health medications, but this was when I was 18 years old. I definitely, I was prescribed Zoloft by a doctor in the hospital because I just went into shock. When he went back to school and I didn't, he came home for the birth of our child, and then he went back to school and I didn't, and it really floored me. I felt like, oh my gosh, he left me. And I'm not blaming him for anything, because people have to live their lives. And part of what I want to translate in this episode is a lot of times when you feel abandoned, it's not necessarily about you. Life goes on. People change. Situations change. And sometimes you have to show up for yourself. I'm going to get to that. But that is the main point of this episode. I am not resentful towards him. Again, just like the episode with my mother, I don't have an episode with my child's father, and I will never. But I do want to say that I have healed from that. And I'm thankful for that experience, because when I'm talking to young women, I can say, you know what, baby, it's going to be okay. It might not feel like it right now, but it is, because I've been in that dark corner, in that dark space when you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And not only did he, go on to school, that was the first blow, that he chose to have a relationship with someone else. And when she got pregnant, he proposed to her. And that, I was, oh my God, y'all. If you could have been a fly on the wall, that hurt. The way that hurt me. I am just being honest as a woman, because I know that people can relate. You've been sitting on Facebook and you see a nigga, you see a dude that you've been in a relationship with, somebody that you done held down. Maybe you've had his babies. Maybe you've ironed his clothes. Maybe you've washed his drawers, whatever the situation may be. And you see him on Facebook with someone else. It hurts. It hurts. You feel a sense of abandonment. You're like, why me? Because I say abandonment, I use that strong word because it doesn't just stop there. You don't say, oh my gosh, he's with this person. He's with this person. And it always leads to the, why not me? You make it personal. You make it personal. Even if you're over this person, even if you don't want to be with this person, I know that there are women who can relate. I could tell by the hearts that were, and the likes that were flying across the screen. That is a real feeling. And there I was, an 18-year-old girl with a baby, depressed as fuck. I'm talking about darkness, a cloud of darkness, still stacking on things. I didn't feel whole as a person anyway because of the issues with my mom. At this point in my life, I hadn't yet healed that. And now I have this other issue that took me on a very downward spiral psychologically. And I had to figure out how to heal myself. How am I going to feed a baby what he needs? It was a boy, my son. How am I going to feed a baby what he needs if I'm not complete up here? If I'm not feeding myself? I mean, I know food. That's not what I mean. I mean spiritual food, mental food. So I made a positive choice to take hold of my depression. I did not choose to take those the medication because the side effects are ridiculous. I didn't want to take anything that would make me suicidal. If I'm already not happy with my life, why do I want to take a pill that's going to make me suicidal? Not judging anyone who does that, because different strokes for different folks. Hi, YouTube. Yes, thanks for chiming in. Different strokes for different folks. That's exactly what I mean. I'm not judging anybody, but that was not for me. I just had to look myself in the mirror. I told you guys I had props. I had to look myself in the mirror, and I had to tell myself, literally, speak positive affirmations over myself. Ladies, if you're watching, even men, do this for men. If you don't speak positive affirmations, you don't have to be dramatic like me. You know, I'm dramatic. But if you don't want to get an actual hand mirror, look in the mirror or just talk to yourself. There is beauty in that. There's something powerful about speaking over yourself. Sometimes you have to be your own hero. I had a choice to spend time being upset about the choices people make. Just like my mother, my child's father decided to do things another way. He decided to do things with other people. He decided to live a life that did not include me. And that at some point had to be okay. You have to stop being bitter. You have to make a positive choice for yourself and consciously decide to be better. Let me pay attention to some of these comments before I get too far. I think everybody's just kind of agreeing. Yeah, Tashia says, hi, sweetheart. She says so true. And oh, my baby, Shateria says that it was meant for her to watch tonight. Thank you for putting that comment, because you let me know that I have a purpose. John is saying, yes. And Quiton says, your purpose is always bigger than what you had to grow from. Exactly. And at the time, like I said, when that cloud of darkness was over me, because when I tell y'all I was depressed, I get chills just thinking about it. When I tell y'all when that cloud of darkness was over me, again, just like I said, healing is a choice. Happiness is a choice. I had to force myself to choose the light, to literally choose to get out of bed, pulling myself. If it wasn't for my son, I know you see women post that or hashtag, if it wasn't for my kids, and you might roll your eyes and think, that's crazy. You know, how does a child save somebody's life? I am here to tell you that if it were not for my child, I've never had suicidal thoughts, but I wouldn't be who I am right now. I'd probably be in the club somewhere getting fucked up all the time, honey, not giving a care of the world. I mean, I'm just being real. He gave me a reason to fight that, because like I said, when it gets to the point where you were prescribed medicines that would make you feel even worse than you already feel, and people are looking at you, I mean, I was wasting away. There are pictures of me where you could see my ribs. And I mean, I'm not the most heavy person, but I'm pretty thick. You know, your girl got a little cushion for her pushing, but I had lost all of that. And like I said, you could see my ribs. I just wasn't eating. It was only my son. And again, there was a gradual moment of growth where I had to deal with other things of abandonment that made me choose me. When I was 18 years old, I chose my son. I'm glad that I chose him. He kept me going, but I also had to grow past that bitterness to fight that bitter baby mama syndrome. I had to let my child's father live his life just like I let my mother live her life. You have to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Even though people aren't choosing you, choose yourself. I learned that at a very young age, unfortunately. Like I said, it started with my mom, but my mom helped me deal with other things that I had gone through in life. So looking back, these experiences are beautiful and necessary. They aren't things that make me sad. Moving on from my child's father, there are relationships that I chose. Very poor decision making. When you have low self-esteem, the people that you choose to stay in relationships with speak volumes about where you are mentally and emotionally. I had very low self-esteem. I was in a relationship that wasn't really a relationship. Have I been a side chick? I'm going to keep it real. Yeah, it's not anything that I'm proud of, but I stayed because this is my theory on that. Y'all can let me know if it makes sense. I felt like I had this person on layaway. You know, layaway, like you go to Kmart, Walmart, and you've been paying your money. Imagine paying your money for X amount of months and going up to the counter and you can't redeem your layaway. You can't get it. That's what it felt like to me being a side chick. I was paying money. I was never getting anything back. It wasn't love that kept me in that relationship. It was literally, what's another word? I'll think of a word. It wasn't love, though. It wasn't love. I was literally giving effort to a situation, and all I wanted was my layaway. I didn't want that nigga. It got to a point where I knew I didn't want him. I did not want to be with him. Obviously, he wasn't a good boyfriend. Why would I want that for myself? I didn't want a future with him. I did not. But I also didn't want to lose that time and that effort that I had put in. I had to figure it out. I mean, I'm telling you, when you are deep, dark in your depression cycle, you don't know the types of choices that you will make. And I'm not excusing anybody's behavior. I'm not saying go out and be a side chick and claim that you're depressed. I'm just being real about the stuff that I've been through, hoping that it'll heal another woman. If you are out there and you're in a relationship with somebody that's in a relationship with somebody else, save yourself the time. Stop giving your money and your time and your effort. You're never going to be able to redeem that layaway. Think about it. Like, I just use that as an analogy because I feel like it's a good, YouTube likes that analogy. I feel like it's a good analogy. Stop. It's not love that's keeping you in that. You don't love a person who is in a relationship with somebody else. You might think you do, but the problem is you probably don't love yourself. You know, I didn't want to waste that effort. I had put months in with this person, and even though it took months for me to let it go, I'm sad to say it, but I think a lot of women can relate. Maybe you're not brave enough to admit it, but I don't care. I'm a healed person, and the only way that I could become healed is if I face the shit that I've done in the past and really clean it out. I will never do that again. I will never do that to myself. I will never do that to another man. I will never do that to another woman, ever. But I had to come to that realization through experience. I was paying money and I never got my layaway. My self-esteem was low. It took a lot of growth for me to get to a point and say, you know what, I deserve better. You take things that are less than because you don't feel like you deserve better. Alicia, yes, I choose me. I choose me, right. That's what I had to do. John says, when you lack experience, a lot of the good choices you make are accidental. Woo! That's heavy. Let me toast John real quick. Yes. Oh, yes. For those of you, if this is your first time watching Nappy Kitchen, this is my Nappy Kitchen cup. And I like to toast people, honey, like we're, being social. Imagine us all in the same room. I know it's social media, but I like to make it more personable. Yes, John, that was heavy. When you lack experience, a lot of the good choices you make are accidental. You just fall into it. And once you start making mistakes, you gain wisdom and you can make judgment with more discernment. John, yes, I like that. He just dropped y'all a gem. Go back through the comments, read that. Put it in your forefront. Yes. And Paris says, great analogy. No more layaways, right? No more layaways. John has a question. Why not? You can love who you love regardless of their situation. Let me adjust myself. I think that love is a very complicated thing. So let me retract. I'm not telling anybody what their version of love is, because people experience love at different intensities, different frequencies, different vibrations, whatever. But as a woman, I was just speaking to other women who may be in similar situations. I do not personally feel that you can love someone who is actively choosing to keep you and another person on a leash together. Loving someone like that, It might feel good. You might enjoy spending time with them. You might like that person a lot. You might like the things that this person gives you. You might like the things that this person is saying to you. But if you truly love yourself, you will understand. If you love yourself completely and fully, you will understand that love from another person should also feel like that. It should feel complete and full and whole. You shouldn't have to share. You shouldn't have to share your partner. That's what I meant. And I just stand by that. I'm not telling anybody that they can't be in love with somebody, but I just feel like if you're in a relationship with somebody else's husband or somebody else's boyfriend continually, I feel like that's speaking to how low your self-esteem is. And again, I'm speaking from experience. At this point, the person that I am today, how much I love Aaliyah, I would never subject Aaliyah to that. Aaliyah will not share. She will not. John, shut up. You just got a toast. No, sharing is not caring. Not in that sense. Not with relationships. We can do a whole nother episode about that. We will do. Actually, that's more of a topic for Indubitably. If you guys have not checked out Indubitably, please check that out. John, he is the DA on that show with Rashad Cleveland. It's a great show. We definitely can talk about that. But today's show is about abandonment. And I really feel like if you show up for yourself, you will expect others to show up for you also. You won't take less than from other people if you really feel good about yourself. That was my point. So again, the things that I went through as a child with my mom, even though I've healed those things, sometimes situations drag me back. Like I said, when I went through the situation with my child's father, even though it was just him moving on with his life, we were very young. We had our son at 18 years old. It's nothing wrong with him falling in love with someone and choosing another path of life that didn't include me. I had to learn that had nothing to do with his care and his time and attention for my son. He's a great father. He just was not the man for me. And it took a while for me to understand that had nothing to do with me because, like I said, sometimes we stack situations. I had not healed that little girl whose mother left her. So then when he left me, I took it way too personal. And I was dragged into a state of depression, like I said. And I moved on from that, and we're fine now. We co-parent. And again, I'm at a place where I can talk about this. And I'm not bashing him. He has a wonderful family, and I'm happy for him. I, too, have a wonderful family, but that takes a lot of growth, a lot of healing. And I see a lot of women who go through similar situations, and I'm just trying to encourage someone to love yourself enough where you can't be bitter. I love myself so much that when I see people making choices, sometimes it takes me a moment, but it's easier for me now to not fall back into that depression cycle because I know that I am a whole, complete, and worthy person. It took a while for me to get there. And if there's anybody watching who doesn't feel like they're there yet, just keep listening. We're gonna get there. Yes, John, compound anxiety. That's exactly what a portion of that was. So moving on. I, again, chose bad relationships, like I said. And it wasn't just me being in a relationship with a young man for months who wasn't choosing me. There was an instance where I was in a relationship. I stayed in a relationship for years. And the dude wrote me a letter. He wrote me a letter. We was together for 3 years. And he wrote me a letter after we broke up and said that he was unhappy for 2 of them. So I didn't take that. I'm not mad at him. And if anybody watching knows him, I wish him the best. This is about me. Nappy Kitchen is about my healing. I'm just using that as an example because I went through it. How did I not recognize that somebody was unhappy? I'm telling you, I'm on Facebook. I'm hashtagging. I'm posting how in love we are. Is it that I really didn't know? Yes, I knew. Aaliyah knew. But I was, again, paying my layaway. Back to that analogy. Sometimes we feel like we have people on layaway, that just because I'm giving you these efforts, then you are then you have no choice but to give me this love back in return. But that's not how relationships work. That's how they're supposed to work. But you need to recognize when somebody's not feeding you in return. You have to, just like John says, work on yourself, queen, and take time to heal. And then he added, no man wants a broken woman. I'm going to omit that part. We don't want a broken self. I don't care what a man wants. I don't care if he wants a broken woman. My husband married a broken one. I'm broken in a lot of ways. My husband is helping me heal. And sometimes men bring us a lot of broken shit too. So that's why I'm omitting that part. We heal each other. Like I said, healing is an ongoing process, and it's not anything that you're just done with. Like Jada says, we're all broken in some way. We are. I'm not broken from those past relationships anymore. I healed that so I could be a good wife to my husband. But there are things that break me, and he has to actively help me. Same with him. He has situations that he deals with, and we help each other. So don't worry about what a man wants. Just heal yourself, and the right man will come along, and he might help you heal, baby. You never know. But again, back to the abandonment issues of the show. I really knew that he was unhappy, and I knew that I was unhappy, but I didn't want to let it go because I have, again, that abandonment issue. And I just want to say to you, Queen, King, if you're watching and if you look around and you're in a friendship, if you're in a job, if you're in a relationship and you do not like it, leave. Do not stay in a situation that's not serving you. Again, that's speaking to your low self-esteem. If you really feel like you are worthy as a person, you will not accept bullshit from other people. It just will not happen. You will become intolerant to the bullshit. And now, like I said, I haven't said this to you guys, but I've said in conversation before, I'm almost afraid to have a daughter because I am going to raise her to be, oh my God, I have been through so much as a woman, and I realized a lot of it was my fault. That's right, YouTube. Yeah, a lot of it was my fault. Because of my low self-esteem, I took on a lot of things that I did not deserve. And that's just part of it. You have to learn that you deserve more. And once you start to look in your mirror and view yourself as a worthy person, you will break up with those ideologies that you need to accept the less than that people are giving you. I'm not saying don't work on anything. I'm not saying if you're in a marriage and you're committed, to just leave at the drop of a hat. That's not what I'm saying. But if something is continually making you feel more bad than good, you might need to analyze those things. And like I said, it can apply to anything, friendships, jobs, everything, which brings me to my last year. Nappy Kitchen was born last year. Nappy Kitchen was a cry for help. Nappy Kitchen was really me saving myself. I recognized something was wrong. Things and people were falling away from me, and I'm not the type of person that blames everybody else for my own situations. I really did some soul searching. I really did some deep diving into what I was putting out into the world that made people not want to be around me. And I don't know. I was just dealing with so much. My friends at the time. I was getting married. My wedding party the wedding party in the pictures does not look like the wedding party that I picked. I'll be real about that. Even the wedding party in the pictures, some of them don't even talk to me. I'll just be transparent about that. I, again, found myself going back to that small, dark space when I was a little girl and starting to compare myself to others. Well, if she doesn't want to be my friend, why is she her friend? It was hard. And I'm human. I'm admitting that. Oh, hi, Hard Time. Hey, Coach. I'm admitting that as a human, it's hard to not compare yourself. And I know other people can relate. I don't really see this so much with men, but women, we do that. I have some women who have treated me worse than a dude has ever treated me. I've been ghosted. I've been abandoned. I've been talked about and lied on. I've been giving effort to a situation and they basically shitted on me. Yeah, it happens. And we've got to do better by one another as women. I know that for sure. And I am taking a step to say that for me, the first thing I had to do was, analyze things for myself. But I did. I went back to that abandonment issue. I was that little girl all over again just last year. And I had to tell myself, you know what? You're worthy of better. You have to not be bitter about people choosing to do other things that don't include you. When your friends are going away from you, when situations seem to pass you by, when you're looking on Facebook or Instagram and you see people, hanging out with other people that aren't you. Don't deep dive into that comparison. It doesn't matter why not you. Just accept that it's not you and find things that are more serving of you. I'm pretty sure there are people out there that would love to spend time with you. You can find a tribe. The more you vibrate the positive things about you, you will find people that gravitate towards those things. And really those people falling away are just opportunities for, new people to come into your life. I know people say no new friends, but let's talk about growth for a minute. Let's talk about real healthy growth. If your hair is healthy, what do you have to do? You trim it. When your nails are growing, when you need a fill in, you trim, you file those nails down, because if they get too long, they start to break. They get brittle. Trees grow through seasons. They lose the dead leaves and then they bloom new leaves. So don't be out here hollering no new friends. If you've got the same exact friend circle that you've had when you were probably 10 years old, that means none of you have grown. How are you guys still the same people? It's okay for people to move and change and frequent other places and go and do other things. That's okay. That's part of life. That's literally one of the characteristics of life. If you want to speak scientifically, growth, it happens. Change is inevitable. You cannot change it. Oh, Terry says, hot damn, talk to me. Good. I'm glad that that somebody is relating to me, because I want to help you. Don't be like me. I'm telling you, on my wedding day, I mourned the loss of friends who were not there. And that robbed me of some of my happiness. I don't even post my wedding pictures. And there's a reason for that, because it hurt me that the women who I thought would be beside me were not. It bothers me that there are women in those pictures who do not speak to me anymore. I'm still working on that. I'm not that 8-year-old girl, but I'm being real about it. It bothers me. And so I feel like we need to do better by one another. But the only way we can do better by one another is if we do better by ourselves. So if I'm speaking to you, if you're in a situation that's not serving you, whether it be a friendship, again, like I said, a job. I quit my job last year too. Those of y'all that know me, I left that job. It was my dream job, but it had become toxic and it was too much. You have to get to a point where you are okay with being by yourself, clapping for yourself. I bought a clapper. That's how dramatic I am. Again, you don't have to be as dramatic as Nappy Kitchen, but clap for yourself. It doesn't matter what friends are not showing up for you. I have family members who will say, oh, I'm never on social media. That's why I didn't see your Nappy Kitchen stuff. But then you look on social media and you see them. Don't fall into that comparison. Don't say, well, why are they liking so-and-so's pictures, but not mine? Don't do that to yourself. You clap for yourself. You show up for yourself, because the more you love yourself, the more you will attract people that love you. Whether it be another relationship, if it's a man, whether it be better friendships. My friend circle now is lit. Some of y'all, my friends, y'all know how it is. I'm not worried. I'm not missing a thing. Like I said, I'm not that 8-year-old girl. I have said this before. If I can do a whole show with my mother, who gave birth to me, and I have healed that place, There's not another situation that's worse than that. So you have to look at your pain as something beautiful. Instead of regretting the fact that I grew up without a mom, I can say, you know what? She prepared me for other people who will fall away from me. That doesn't hurt me. It bothers me. Like I said, I don't post my wedding pictures because I was real in those relationships. Those really were my friends. Those were women that I cared about. So I'm supposed to mourn that loss. It shouldn't be a fly by night type of thing if it was real. And so while I'm working on that, I still have to understand that, you know what? I am worthy of good friendship. And I'm open to my new flowers or my other analogies that I said for growth. Because like I said, growth is a continual process, and you shed those split ends. If you don't get your ends trimmed on your hair will stop growing. So let's think about that in real life. Some things need to be trimmed away. Chasta says she clapped for herself daily. Me too, boo. Me too. And I'm clapping for you. Oh, hey, Judah. Tell Judah I said, hey, Paris. But the whole point of the show was to not just focus on abandonment and not wallow in it, even though it hurts. I know that it hurts. It hurts when people leave you. I know that. I'm a living witness. I have been left a lot. But I'm still out here loving like I never been hurt before. I'm still a good mom. It doesn't matter that I didn't have a mom. That's no excuse. I'm a wonderful wife. My husband ain't here, but ask him. Some of y'all know him. Just because I've been hurt in relationships before, that doesn't mean that I close myself off to those things. I just want to encourage someone, even if you're dealing with something right now, start to look in the mirror a little different. Next time you look in the mirror, you tell yourself that you deserve better. And the more that you start to love yourself and feed yourself those positive words, you will notice two things will happen. You'll become, like I said, so intolerant to the bullshit that people give you, that the people that's trying to play you will leave you alone. And it's okay for you to leave people where they had you fucked up at. It's okay for you to leave them right on there. They will not be able to take you anymore. When you start standing up for yourself, and that's part of what happened. Like I said, last year was rough for me, but I started to speak up for myself. I started to set those appropriate boundaries. I started to treat myself like I loved me, and the people who didn't love me didn't know how to do that. So they fell away naturally. That's the first thing that will happen. The second thing that's going to happen when you start to love yourself is you're going to attract people who also love themselves, or people who want to participate in loving you. They're going to say, oh, look at that girl. She full of black girl magic. Let me go there. You start hashtagging stuff that you're interested in. Oh, that's my team. Let me see if they want to watch the game. You start, like I said, going to the salon and getting those dead ends trimmed. You might meet somebody at the salon. You never know. Once you make those changes for yourself personally, your circle will start to change. And again, that's part of it. That's the beauty of it. Your circle is supposed to change. You are supposed to grow and go through different things. You're not supposed to have the same friends. It's just not how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to grow. And if you're growing in the true sense of the word, you're going to lose some things along the way. It doesn't have to be a mother. Unfortunately, that happens to some people. It doesn't have to be your child's father. But unfortunately, that happens to some people. It doesn't have to be a husband. It doesn't have to be a friend. But if you look at any situation, there's probably an instance where someone has abandoned you and you felt lost about it. And I'm talking to the person who's felt lost before. I'm talking to that person who's in that darkness. It's okay to choose the light. It's okay that that person did not choose you for whatever reason. You don't need a reason. Sometimes people need closure. Baby, you don't need closure. You give yourself closure. You close the door to that person. Stop giving that person access. If those friends want to go and hang out with so-and-so, let them have so-and-so. Because if you were a good friend, they're probably going to eventually miss the things that you were offering to that relationship anyway. But that's on them. That's not your problem. If your husband want to act up and stupid, if you got to get divorced because you love yourself enough, again, I'm not encouraging that. But if it happens, don't wallow in that. Don't wallow in a failed relationship. A failed relationship does not equate to a failed person or a failed life. You know, if you got to get your kids together, like I said, if you got to leave your job, you have to do what you have to do for yourself. You have to love yourself more than anything and anybody else on this earth. You have to. Oh, hey, Portia. I love you too, boo. I love you too. I've been on a tangent, but Nappy Kitchen is for the people. If you have just joined us, we've been talking about abandonment. I've shared a bit of my testimony and talked about the things that I've dealt with mentally as far as abandonment. So if you get a chance to go back through and watch some of it, please do. I talked about everything from my mother. I have a whole complete episode with my mother. I didn't grow up with her, but we since healed that, where she and I are talking about it. Please go and check that out on YouTube. I talked about how it was choosing not to be bitter about my baby's father moving on, which is, again, I'm here for the queens. That's such a problem in the Black community. Let that man go. If he wants to spend time with somebody else, it's possible for him to spend time with another woman and still be a good father to your child. I am living proof of that. Jaden has an excellent father, and I have an excellent husband. Two separate things, but it's possible to do both. Don't be bitter. Let it go. It doesn't matter if you had this person on layaway. I use the analogy about layaway if you're just joining us. Sometimes we feel like we have people on layaway because we've been paying into some sort of bank account or personal account. Just because you've been giving your efforts to someone, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to return them. Sometimes you're going to have to look in the mirror and just pick up your shit and go. You have to go. Yeah, go back through the show. Before I wrap up, I want to shout out two Black entrepreneurs. You know, every Nappy Kitchen episode, I try to give a commercial, but I missed last week, so I'm going to do two this week. I actually have a raffle going on. It's a Mother's Day raffle. The information is on my page. Y'all, these coins are going to help 3 Black entrepreneurs. I am sponsoring a Nappy Kitchen raffle for Mother's Day, where just for $5, you can be entered in a chance to win $50 off of makeup services from Terica Bruton. Her stuff is on my page. And $50 off of nails from Destiny Lomax. They're both conveniently located in Reasonable's Boutique, one-stop shop. Think about how awesome it would be if you gave your baby mama a $100 certificate. That's $100 value. $5. Enter, buy 2, buy 10. I don't know. Help us out. I'm going to give them their coins, of course, because they're the ones who are doing the work. And then whatever is left over, go to me and you will help Nappy Kitchen be as great as it can be, because it is a business. I do events. I put women together in positive situations. I'm just coming back from my Nappy Kitchen retreat. If you missed it, please come next year. Chasta just hashtag Nappy Kitchen Peace Retreat 2020. It's going to be lit. Nappy Kitchen Peace Retreat 2019 was amazing. If you missed it, go check out some of the testimonials that are on my page. I am so serious about this. I love us for real. I want to do something for Black women and the Black community, but I cannot do that alone. I need your coins. I do. So help me. But in the meantime, until I get the coins, I'm going to keep clapping for myself and celebrating myself and celebrating you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, if I can heal from all of that shit that I've been through, so can you. I love you, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye. Bye, YouTube. Bye, Facebook.